Hey, we just opened the door to the online meeting room. Thanks and welcome everyone. We're going to get started relatively quickly here. We've still got, looks like maybe a dozen or so folks that are still scheduled to join us today. But in the meantime, just sit tight and we'll get going with our workshop very quickly here. And I've got to run and close the door. There we go. Back in the saddle again. All right, and we'll get started, like I said, in a couple of minutes. We'll do a complete start at 10:03 a.m. Give those folks a couple more to get in. As they're gathering, I'll go ahead and put up our agenda for today so that you all can see what we're going to cover, and we'll go over this very quickly. As we wait for folks to arrive, this is going to be a very fast-paced discussion, a 30,000-foot level. A look at basically the Boundless cybersecurity model for SonicWall, and brought to you by the folks here at Securematics and SonicWall. Give it one more minute here for folks to join us. Take a look and see how that's going. Oh, good. All right, we're starting to get there. We will start promptly at 10:03. Perfecto. All right. Once again, for those of you who are just joining us, we're waiting for a few more people to jump on board. Once we are ready to go, this is going to be a 50-60 minute fast-paced discussion. We're going to present the Boundless security model for SonicWall and go over things like, as you can see on the screen, SMA, the new SonicWall switches, the new Gen 7 firewalls, and NSM, the network security management tool, the single pane of glass that kind of pulls it all together. And we found by laying it out this way, we'll kind of wrap everything. So that said, it's now 10:03 and we're going to get started. And we'll start with our introductions and we'll get going on that. So first, if I may, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead there. I'd like to introduce, and visually on the screen, you should see SonicWall's Channel SE, Ruby Whelan. Ruby, weigh in, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here also. So I've been with SonicWall for 11 years. I was also the funded SE at Tech Data for a few years. I live in Florida, about 15 minutes from the beach, which is just awesome, except for the summertime for the hurricanes. So we usually hightail it to the mountains when that happens.
There you go. And out here, we prefer the earthquakes, Ruby, in California, where I'm from. So.
Yes. So one coast or the other, you're fleeing.
That's right. And we've got the beaches and then the fire season, which is now all the time anyway. Anyway, I'm Tom Poor. I'm the, thanks, Ruby. I'm Tom Poor. I'm the partner development manager for SonicWall at Securematics. The man in the middle, trying to make sure that everything that I can take care of for SonicWall is taken care of, and basically making sure that it's frictionless for everything downstream for our partners to be able to basically easily place orders, get the kind of support they need and things like that. As you can tell, I like to play guitar. I'm not any good at it, but I really am good at tearing apart and putting them back together again and other things. And I do like the beach too. I mean, San Diego County, kind of part of the deal. So behind the scenes and here at Securematics, we've got a complete team. You see me there, but there are a lot more important people on this slide. We have our sales team managed by Mitch Wade here on the West Coast and Ed Bender out on the East Coast. Brian Vincent is our general manager, and yes, that's his real email address. And yes, he loves hearing from people if they've got positive or other things to say about us. We're kind of the high touch, really boutique type distributor. Only a few things on our line card, so we completely focus on network security. And Brian is there and has a commitment to the service to our customers as well, so all the way up and down the chain. We also have our own sales engineering team with Hannah heading that up. And so once again, if we get into things like demo gear and things like that, we do trials, we can set up things in our lab, and Anand can help us with that, even proving out concepts for you if your customers have a project that need that. We also have Ruby as a resource on the SE side, so together we can pull off just about anything that you want. If you need financing options or anything that really gets into more of the finance and credit side, Shelley Rogers is our Director of Finance and Operations, and we can customize terms, things like that for you as well. Online today, I call her Producer Bailey because she puts all the marketing things together for us and just make sure that we're online and doing everything marketing wise the right way. So we can also help you with co-branding and other things if you need marketing assistance. On the purchasing side, well, once Anand proves it out and the order management team gets it going, we're making sure that we're buying well and processing for our customers. So really easy. Dedicated inside salesperson, pre-sales, technical support if you need it, trial demo gear. We actually have a lab where you can stage stuff and do things for you. Free ground shipping on every order. You can also arrange different shipping things and flexible financing and stocking options. So any of those things that you need help with, we'd be happy to help you with this. Once again, the goal is to make it frictionless for you to get the SonicWall product and solutions that you need to your end users and help them be successful. That's the way we all are successful up and down the chain. That said, we're going to get going now with the state of the state. And this is where we kind of set the table for why Boundless Security model and how it plays. A lot of you have seen these kind of slides before where we're talking about the different increases in the new normal, if you will, or sometimes I've heard it referred to as the now normal, things like 62% threat increase and things like that. Last week, I had to pull this together, and I thought this was interesting when they started running Series Dell promoting, basically some security in their smaller things and just protecting a laptop. We're quoting things like, 9 times the increase for people working from home, 50% increase on IT attacks, all because of the way that everyone is remote, everyone is mobile, everyone's less secure. 50% increase in use of cloud services. So more people are going to the cloud, more people are going to secure mobile access. We're going to talk about an increase in malware attacks. Here's some really big numbers. 600% increase in phishing attempts and 630% increase in just regular attempts like that. And I thought this one kind of critical. I'm guessing that many of you have businesses that are in the SMB space. This one really jumped out at me. Almost $35,000 is the average cost of a malware attack if a small business is attacked and held for ransomware. So, I mean, that could break a lot of smaller businesses that we know. That said, the Boundless cybersecurity model is really important because it really is designed for dispersed workforces, in, out. It's always on so that you can do it. There's a real-time prevention going on, and the economies scale. We're going to talk about some things like spike licensing and things later on to really do it, but basically, and the key is the automated machine learning that happens, where it teaches the security system on what kind of things it needs to be looking out for, and that's really, really great. So that's the landscape, right? Everything is just, that threat surface is spread out over everything from hybrid to cloud resources, data center, all of the things. You've got devices, you've got people, you've got applications, and then protecting them and making sure the right people have access. Just before we get going on this, I'm going to ask a poll question. Can we drop a poll question in there? All right. All right. Bailey, can you drop that for me? It says poll must be closed. Hang on.
Yep, It's launched. Everyone's
Oh,
using it right now.
fantastic. Good. We're actually getting it and I'm seeing the results in real time. That's pretty cool. All right. So it looks like 8% of you folks are kind of like me, a little old school, and actually get a newspaper. And 42% of you read digital, and 50% get neither a dedicated paper or digital feed on that. My guess is you've got plenty of places to get news from, but just a curiosity on mine, and thought that that newspaper thing might be a rare bird, but thanks for your participation in that. Going to go back and close the poll, and we'll go back to our next topic. So first topic is secure mobile access and why VPN is so critical for accessing network resources in this time of access pretty much anywhere, right? So today's workforce requiring 24/7 access, the IT support across that hybrid resources, the infrastructure itself, and ensuring that they're protecting the network regardless of how and where they're accessed are important. So keeping all those things we've talked about kind of in mind, a unified secure access gateway really helps provide access to a ton of things. So SMA is here from SonicWall. The ability to configure full or permissible access, establishing users and identity and trust, and then granting secure VPN access through SSO and MFA and some of the other protocols, basically giving you anytime, anywhere, assured access that you're letting the right people in. So any authorized users, anytime, anyone authorized to access certain areas of the network or certain resources, and to any application and how it goes. So you can see a lot of things here on how those things are done. But let's talk a little bit about how they're actually applied. And I'm going to kind of flip this over to you for a second, Ruby. And if you would go over some of the use cases where SMA has been used and where that payoff is.
Sure. So we've had small office to medium size and large enterprise across the globe using our SMA. When all this struck back in March, we had all of our customers scrambling to get VPN access, and we were providing them, the ones that had our products in the closet somewhere, pulled them out, and we were giving them free licensing for 30 days to get going. Because, you know, again, everybody had to go work from home. And we were wanting to get them up and running, and we're still selling very much a lot of them because now they're realizing that this could be, you know, who knows how long, so they want to be ready. For example, the city of Milford liked the fact that they could easily allow everyone to work from home immediately and get set up and get their policies in place. And then we had another customer that was using what's called our spike licenses. So instead of having to buy another 200 or 300 licenses, because now I've got many more people working from home and I'm not sure how long that's going to last, I can buy a spike license and use it whenever I need it, for however long I need it. And it doesn't cost as much as having to buy, you know, another full-blown 100 or 200 users. So customers really like that option, that they can go out and buy that spike, a 10-day or a 30-day, and turn it on and off and use it however they need to.
And that's really a great one. And then we also have an example for a Garner contract management, and that's kind of a public space under transportation end. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so this customer was one that really took advantage of being able to use the spike, use multi-factor authentication, role-based access, which was very important. You know, just as you mentioned, Tom, who can access what file or drive or server on the network. they can be very segmented as to who can go where with what kind of device, and make sure that everybody is authorized to be in that space on the network.
Right on. And at this point, what I'd like to do is, while I kind of do a little bit of a wrap on SMA. By the way, remember, this is 30,000 foot level. If you need deeper information, like to consult with an SC, be able to get Ruby or Anon or one of our team online and be able to help you go a little deeper. I'm going to drop another polling question on SMA. And I think I may have to do something here. And sharing the screen. Can you drop the poll? Here we go. All right. You should be seeing the poll now. Oh. There you go. Well, everybody's dancing around system health monitoring. The answer is all of the above, but 90% of you, I can also share this, right? Oh, it has to be closed to share. Interesting, working with poll for the first time, very interesting. Most of you got it right. It looks like now some of you are changing your answers. That's pretty cool. So you got 90% all of the above, and policy management for sure. So yes, all of the above: policy management, system health monitoring, and comprehensive reporting. So you're doing pretty good. Thanks for paying attention. That's really what these things are in place for, to make sure that we're engaging and you guys are listening to us. So that's SMA. Remember, we will be following it up. And so whether you're securing access for 5 users in a data center or 500 users, some with hybrid resources, some with hard resources or cloud, all available to be protected by SMA. And we can get you some more. Oh, by the way, up in the handout section for your download pleasure are handouts on the Q3 playbook and on the data sheet on each of the topics we're covering today. So if you need kind of an overview that you can hold in your hand or read on your screen, those are available to you. It's going to bring us right up to our next one, and I'm going to start sharing, make sure I'm sharing my screen this time.
Tom, I just wanted to mention one last thing on the SMA that just I meant to. On our SMA 1000 models, those are for pretty much like 250 and up into the thousands. We have the ability to do what's called global traffic optimization. So I can have 3, 4, 5, however many of my SMA enterprise models all over the world, if that was the case. And from one screen, as the IT admin, I can manage not only all the appliances, but also move the users around. If a system went down, or if at one location, everybody was logged out because of the time zones and I needed more users at another location, I can do that with a click of the mouse.
Wow, so basically concurrent users, and you can kind of configure that any way you want, where the needs are, whether it's an emergency situation or even
Exactly.
scheduled if you've got, European customers that aren't going to be online at all when we're here on the US, or excuse me, workers in Europe, and then here in the US, you can share those licenses. It's very economical and kind of a cool concept that SonicWall has put out there. Thanks for reminding me about that.
Sure. Yeah.
We zipped through that in my attempt to provide the high level and keep everybody engaged. So now we're going to talk about switches, and this is really the smallest part of the program today. We're just really going to reveal, and the switch guides and things are up on the handouts, and you can also get them from either our portal or the SonicWall portal. But basically what's happening now with the SonicWall switches is it was a gap in the SonicWall offering, and this kind of fills that gap and gives them a complete end-to-end package that you can put together with SonicWall solutions, managing everything through the NSM, which we're going to show at the end. But a couple of the really cool things are, and we'll do that. We're just going to take a look at the configurations when I get done with this short list. But basically it's SD branch ready. So those of you who know about SD-WAN and the SD branch capabilities, if you don't, be happy to dive into those a little deeper with you. But consider a situation where you've got templates that you can lay out, and if you're putting out branches and replicating them on a regular basis, it makes it very easy for you to go ahead and deploy things. Very easy deployment. We're going to take a look at some of how things are deployed and managed in the Network Service Manager. But also there is also a price performance factor involved. So not only are they kind of integrated in, we've got a lot of the tools available to make things easy, but you've got 10 gigabyte, up to 10 gigabyte connectivity. So you've got performance boost, simplifies management through the single pane of glass, zero touch deployment, the ability to send something remote and not have to send an engineer with it, because if the sales guy that works in that office, me, could plug in a power cord and the Cat 5 into the RJ45 connector, plug the blue wire into the blue spot, then you can see it lit up and go. And we'll take a look at that as we go. So a lot of flexible deployment options. We're going to take a look at that. The other thing is that it is definitely scalable, because they're stackable, daisy chainable, a lot of ubbles in there. So you're able to do a lot of things and really do that easily, expand and scale to your needs. So this, I'm going to have Ruby as the expert take a look. And Ruby, I'm still sharing my screen. Yes,
Okay.
no. Let me double check.
Yep, there it is.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So we do have models from 8-port all the way up to 48-port, and each model series PoE and non-PoE, supporting 802.3 AF and AT. And we're able to support pretty much the standard as far as the power output that most of the switches out there have. They are manageable through the firewall so that you can access the GUI from it. You can deploy them as a standalone switch into any network, but it would be CLI managed, so just a little bit more keystroke.
And the reverse of that one, Ruby, is that if we put, let's say, another manufacturer's switch in our array, that would have to be managed separately and not within the same way that we manage these things. It's just natural both ways, right?
Right, exactly, and plenty of memory and buffering. So. And again, as Tom mentioned, we have all the way up to 10 gig fiber on there. So it's pretty industry standard switches, and again, gives you that full end-to-end ability to have all of SonicWall in the network.
And if I may mention, this is these are the mileage. Your mileage may vary depending upon how you're using this vehicle. If you've got 10 people on and they're all streaming Netflix, that may not work with your 10 total ports on the 8-port switch, et cetera. So it's just balancing that out. These are for guidelines, and I think most folks will understand that, but just to kind of give you an idea, and we can dive in once again. We can try all these things, we can demo them, we can set them up in a lab, and you can actually see what's going on, but we can also make some educated guesses as to what your topography looks like, how many people are going to be doing just email, how many people are power users that might be producing videos or something else for your company. So those kind of things. Anything else on this one, Ruby?
Nope, I think that pretty much covers it.
Right, so, you know what I wanted to talk about? We're moving on to our next topic. That's perfect. So we're talking and we're moving into the Gen 7 firewalls. And I'm going to drop at the beginning as we move in. I'm going to drop a poll question here. See if I can do that. And I want to, that one's closed. And launch. So what I'd like for you to do, and you should be able to see it, as far as, oh, and I launched it ahead of time. I'm sorry, I launched NSM instead of my Gen 7. So we'll come back to this later, but yeah, the good news is we've got, when we get to NSM, we've got a percentage that know it well, some that have heard of it, and so there will be some benefits. Sorry to drop the poll question out of line to close that
Sneak
one in.
preview,
Sorry.
that's all.
Sneak preview, NSM, oh well, we'll get there. So the new generation firewalls, which is really what the topic is now, basically, there's a bunch of things. Number one, the technology involved, the advanced technology, high port density, 5G ready, which is you're going to be seeing all over the place now with the new 5G. Am I sharing? Yes. Good. Ruby, tell me if I'm not sharing, but.
Nope, I see you.
Okay, sounds good, good. And then a lot more capacity. There's storage on board that you can use, and then an optimized policy engine. We're going to get into some of these in performance as well. And so that said, talk about some of these things. Basically, once again, 10 gigabyte interfaces, a desktop form factor, SD branch ready, so integrating right in with our switches, other things, the single pane of glass for management, which we'll get into NSM, and all the things that you can imagine coming from next generation hardware. Redundant power, we're going to take a look at that as well when we get into NSM. NSM is the window into all of these things, so that's why we're wrapping with that. Redundant power, high port density, PoE available on everything, USB 3.0, and then coming down the pike, the new OS for Generation 7 is coming as well, which is going to be a new user interface and other things, really beefing things up. And then the performance is there, and we're going to take a look at those speeds and feeds now. Another, your mileage may vary, but Ruby, I'm going to have you speak to this. And this is
Sure.
Once again, a firewall sizing guide used as a guidance, but you can use make some educational guesses on that as to what will work with you, and we'd be happy to help as well. Ruby? Sure.
So our lowest model, smallest model is our Soho 250. Well, Soho series, we still have the Soho wireless actually. But the newer model, Soho 250, we've had now for probably at least a year. And we've always tried to size our firewalls based on the internet speed that the customer has and the approximate number of concurrent users that will traverse the firewall. And as the end user, you can use enough. Let's say you have 50 employees, 50 devices, or if every employee has a mobile device, you potentially you could have 100 devices. But at peak time, or what is the best guess you think that I have 100 devices and I may only have 40 or 50 at any one time, so concurrent users, because that's what you really want to look at. If you have a 200 meg circuit, you certainly don't want to be looking at a Soho or Soho 250, because we want to look at the DPI throughput, which is the threat prevention, and that's with all the security services enabled. Because once that happens, now that processing in that firewall, it is going to put more overhead and more cycles, because it's having to look at all the packets. So we're not just passing the packets and not scanning, we're scanning all the way down into the packet or into the application layer, okay? So you want to look at the threat prevention DPI throughput. And those two factors of what's your internet speed, approximately how many users do you have, will help sales get a little bit better gauge on what that customer might need. And again, using the old saying, mileage may vary. Absolutely, every network is different. The devices on the network, what's the processing of this, what's the switches. There's so many factors that go into it, but if you can try to get some of those questions, then certainly it makes it easier for sales teams.
So Ruby, this is, I think, the coolest part. I think it is. I think other people do too, but I could be wrong. But I really think that RTDMI and the capture ATP is really a super cool thing. Can you explain that for
Yeah.
our audience today?
Sure. So if most of you are probably aware now, or heard of sandboxing. It's been out there now for a couple of years. So, we went from granularly scanning into the application layer, finding all the malware, and then creating a signature for it, like a kill switch, basically. And then we have a huge database of it. So as we see these things, we're like, nope, we know that you're bad, you're not coming through. We're dropping your access into the network right away. But the hackers have gotten so much more sophisticated that now they're able to create malware that can actually be hidden. It can be hidden in SSL traffic, definitely in documents, PDF, Word, Excel, any type of files that are coming into the network. So with sandboxing, we do just that, or capture. We see a file that is exhibiting strange behavior. It's like, no, this doesn't look normal. So we actually send that to our cloud, our sandbox, and we force the file to open, and then we could see, okay, no, this file is actually trying to access some memory or some CPU or some registry files on the computer. Then we went a step further, and because of Spectra and Meltdown a couple of years ago, they were attacking the actual Intel CPU. So we went a step further and created our own patent pending algorithm. We see that come in, we take the malware and we put it in the sandbox environment, and we force it to open and say, okay, come on, here you go, free for all, just go for it. And then again, we watch the behavior of it, and if it's exhibiting malicious, then it's done. If it's not, then we're like, okay, you're good, we're going to send you on. But we're able to actually lift the cover off that malware and force it to show what it's trying to do.
I think it's really interesting. You used the word behavior a couple of times, and it's the way we learn how to trust, right?
Exactly.
I heard an analogy once that someone says you don't give your kids a mugshot book and say, okay, these are all the bad guys, learn who they are. That's not the way it works. You learn by your mom telling you people that act that way, you need to stay away from. And so those are the kind of things that the machine learning is doing. I just love that analogy because it's so
Yes.
real. And that's exactly the way it works. It goes, wait a second, we've seen this before. Let's take it over here and see if it is what we think it is. So
Yep.
I think that's just one of the coolest things. So RTDMI, capture ATP, SSL TLS decryption and inspection in real time, right? So lightning speeds comparatively, not a huge overhead while we're doing this. And then really the ease of use of onboarding some of these things as well. So definitely excited about that. Going to wrap on this one and get ready to go to NSM, which is really which is really the fun part, the thing that I've been looking forward to. And let me go forward here. So really NSM, that tool, that interface that you're going to be able to manage everything in, all from a single pane of glass, whether it's, a templated public site. There's so many things integrating with the zero touch managed options. All those things are here. Really, there's a couple of key things, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ruby for a kind of a live look at this stuff. Really, it's a reduced security management overhead, right? So it's easy for you to use. This is a perfect thing for MSSPs or anybody that's managing multiple firewalls, whether you've got a customer with a zillion of them or you're managing firewalls for your customers. It's already got built in the knowledge of the threat landscape and the security posture. It's kind of looking in and knowing the unknown on some of that stuff. It's a subscription model, so very easy. It's very easy to get going, lower CapEx, and basically easy to manage price performance wise. There's no hardware or software to deploy with NSM itself. It's already built in, ready to use, it helps eliminate those firewall management silos, where you're looking at this set of firewalls and that set of firewalls. It gives you a really good view of that visibility to all of your security operations. And you can audit, commit, and enforce consistent security policies across all of those environments. And basically make informed security policy decisions based on the things that you see. So all those fun things being said, I'm going to now shift over to Ruby, and we're going to take a live look at NSM. I should be able to do that by making Ruby our presenter. Make Ruby our presenter, change presenter, Ruby Whelan. Yes.
Show my screen.
You are on, show your screen. There we go. There's that familiar interface.
Oops. What happened? I got back. Okay. All right. So yes, this is the NSM. It is our newest management tool now. It has evolved from way back from GMS. If some of you are longtime SonicWall customers, you remember GMS. And then we evolved into a cloud architecture called Cybersecurity Center. And just recently, it's only been maybe a couple of months, we now have our network security manager, which really built on the Cybersecurity Center. It does have a little bit different look on the dashboard now. So gives you a quick view glance of how many firewalls are up, how many are offline, even how many have expiring licenses, how many different groups do I have, and I could actually set them on a map if the firewalls were dispersed all over the U.S. or Canada, etc. I could actually set that up on my dashboard. Also gives you a little bit of information on any alerts and threats that are going on, which is something, again, as an admin or MSSP, you get a phone call, hey, there's something going on with my network. You have this one view that you can go in and start looking at the firewalls for that particular site. So I can click on my firewalls and I can go in and, I have already preset them, and these are all the particular models that I have. It'll tell me, is it online? Is it managed? So lots of information here. It tells me what group that it's in, and I can actually click on the groups and see what I've configured, headquarters, etc., what firewall is at what location.
So Ruby, if you were an MSP, you could set these up for each of your individual customers and manage them very specifically.
Exactly, because we can do with the firewalls, we can do multi-tenant. So you'd be able to set that up here in NSM and have view into that. And then Tom had mentioned about templates. So we can, you can go in and you can set, specific type of configuration. So this is an admin template, and you want to apply it to, XYZ group. So every kind of template. I mean, basically, it's where you're setting your policies, your configuration, your rules for that particular firewall or that particular group of firewalls.
That could be the same for an individual. Let's say you're adding an individual that will access that firewall.
Right.
Those can be done as well.
You could drill down. So if I go into, look and pull up a firewall, I can go in there. And so now I have actual view of that 670, wherever it is. It's showing me what ports are up. it's showing me what services are enabled, just a quick view of the firmware that's on it. And then we do now.
So you don't have to go out. You don't have to go out and take a look at the switch. You've got a rendering right here. It shows you exactly the status of that switch and deeper information.
Exactly. And we do have this new little cool nerdy thing that if you were using a wireless USB cellular device, now we'll actually show you the strength of that device.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
That's cool. We're going to see more and more 5G, and there's a back as well. We can see the back of that.
Yep.
See the redundant power. We can see the open ports.
See what ports are on.
Pretty slick.
Yeah. So now we have the ability to to have a backup power brick on the shelf. Customers lose them or whatever, and now you don't have to call into SonicWall. Oh, I need another one. You can have a backup one. Storage, since we do have storage for the firewalls, that is built in, and then you can add more. So you can use it for configuration, diagnostic. It'll actually show you how much storage that you've used for each of these. So again, very quick. This is what's going on with this firewall. Oh, this port is down. No wonder they're down. Or all of a sudden they're seeing threats, or they did get some type of malware that came up. Oh, they don't have a certain security offering or service on here. So everything just quick. Let's see what's going on. As well as being able to look at the applications that are running through that particular firewall at that particular time. We do have two different bundles of NSM. The essential bundle will have 7 days of reporting. The advanced will have 365 days of reporting and 30 days of analytics. Which with analytics, this is what you're going to be able to drill down and see the applications, users, where are the users, what kind of websites are they accessing. So just a lot of information right at your fingertips.
That was super cool. Super cool. I really like just without having to physically go out and find the switch, or the firewall. It's just really cool.
Right, it's right there. Like I said, you can then start drilling down into the device, what's licensed, and then of course a lot of the GUI is still the same. You'll notice that still looks the same, so that you can configure your interfaces, set up your different rules and policies. And with the Gen 7, the new SonicOS, it is Linux based now. So any customers that may want to be integrating some of the reporting and logs with like WhatsUp Gold or some other reporting tool that maybe they have, because NSM does do API, we can easily do that now. So we can be a lot more flexible with integrating with third party. Yeah.
And you'd be happy to consult with anybody that wanted to talk about that stuff, wouldn't you, Ruby?
Absolutely.
That's the good stuff. That's the good stuff. So is there anything else on here that we want to take a whack at before number one, I'll reveal that the poll was about a 33% split across don't know anything about it, know a little bit about it, and know everything about it. So we've got
okay.
30 office out there. So anybody that needs to get in deeper and see things, once again, demo gear, trial, all the things that we can help you with, and it's available for that. Once again, we've got SEs on our side too. So yeah, Ruby,
I just wanted to mention, as far as trial for the NSM, the Gen 6 model, and then the 570 and 670. Those are the two Gen 7s that we have right now. As long as the firewall is at least a 6.5.4 firmware, you will see the option to try NSM. You will get at least the essential try. Some of them do have the advanced turned on, but most of them do have the essential. So just, fire up the firewall.
The really big difference is the reporting period, isn't it? That's the big difference. There are some smaller differences as well.
Smaller differences, but pretty much the same. Of your advanced, you are getting the analytics for the granular forensics.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. And I just put this screen up. I took it away from you, Ruby, and now we're kind of giving you the kind of the benefits of the things that come with it. There's some highlighted out there, but basically it's your knowledge of the threat landscape. The managing your to scale is really something that SonicWall has built into the entire solution line, and the ability to onboard things quickly, effectively, and remotely. In today's world, those things are absolutely key. And then the ability to also audit, which is great. We've got complete audit trail, and then commit and enforce all of the security policies that you've come up with, and then hunting and responding to risk, dumping things in capture, all of those kind of things. And then once again, everything adding up to helping you and your customers make informed security policy. Suggestions, yeah. So I'm going to take a look at some questions that we have, here's a question for you, Ruby. Can you do scheduled firmware updates with NSM? That's coming from James.
Absolutely.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
And then how much bandwidth and resources does NSM require? Seems like a lot of information to communicate back to SonicWall with the new firewalls or high performance. Seems it would eat up a fair amount of resources.
Well, so again, that can vary depending on how much or what information that you want to report on. I mean, obviously, if you wanted to report on all the threats, everything across the board, it is going to take a lot of syslogs. But because we are cloud-based, and the firewall now is running with Linux. Before, it was a proprietary OS, so that does give us a little bit more flexibility. But it's really hard to give a number as far as how much resources, because it's always going to depend on how much of the analytics and logs and information that you want to see.
And that's not ongoing. That's when you're looking at it that you're going to put the overhead on it. It's not while the system is running, or is that overhead while the system is running?
It's not overhead on the firewall while it's sending the syslogs. It's really going to be on your computer. I mean, what are you running? What's your internet speed?
Weakest link.
Right.
So here's a good question, again from James. Talk about the long term of GMS. Will it be going away?
It is not going to be going away for a good while. And we do get that question a lot. Just lots of customers out there that still use it, still like it. It is an on-prem solution, so your federal customers, your big financial, legal, they don't want to put anything in the cloud. It doesn't matter. So we have to have something that's still going to be on-prem.
Right on, right on, right on. I think that exhausts our questions. That said, let me reiterate a couple of things real quick, and we'll get going and let you on with your day. The timing worked out perfect. I wanted to keep this thing under an hour. I said 50 to 60 minutes.
Yeah.
It's worked out good. So 30,000 foot level, remember, we've still got resources where we can come back at you with just about any questions you want. We appreciate you attending today. And by the way, you're all going to go in to a drawing. Everybody that attended will go into a drawing, and we're going to give away a little SonicWall gift box that we put together, and we'll get that out to you, some goodies from Securematics and SonicWall. That being said, we really appreciate your time today. Remember, there are some handouts you can grab right now before we shut the meeting down on the topics we covered today, including the Q3 playbook, as well as including any promos that you'll see in that. Anything that you might need, demo gear, the ability to talk with an SE, whether it's directly from SonicWall, we'll ring up Ruby. We've got our own team as well that we can help you with. Maybe you need stocking options. Be happy to talk to you about that, as well as anything that you might need as far as terms go. So that team that you saw at the beginning is behind folks like Ruby and me out beating the streets, and folks like you selling down the channel. And our whole goal is to make it easy for you to sell SonicWall to your customers and grow that SonicWall business. That being said, the question box is clear. Want to appreciate everybody that came online today. You'll be getting a follow-up email from us. By the way, this webinar is being recorded, and you will get a link to a copy of that recording as we go down. That being said, Ruby, thanks for your time today.
Yes, thank you. You're welcome.
And go sell more SonicWall. Thanks everybody for attending.
Thank you.
Bye now.